Happy Wednesday, people. Welcome to the Kris and Gina Relationship Show. I'm going to be Kris today. This beautiful woman to my right, your left.
I'm playing the role of Gina B.
Gina B. Something just happened to my chair. I don't know why I just slid down.
Oh, you know, he hates to look short on the air.
First off, now people think, okay. Anyway.
God forbid.
Hey, look. Happy National
What is it today?
Coloring Book Day. People, I do this
Okay,
because
I
it's
cannot.
Wednesday.
I can't with this.
Well, you got it. Wednesdays are days.
Coloring book day?
I know you guys have the show, but I like, but Wednesday is Wednesday.
We need a day for coloring books?
We do. It's also Happy National Ice Cream Sandwich Day.
I like that better.
Do you?
I've got some of those at home. I'm going to have one today.
It is. It's National Girlfriend Day.
I got
So,
girlfriends. So.
all you fellas out there, while you're on with your wives tonight, shoot the girlfriend a text.
That's not that kind of day. It's your girlfriend.
Oh, I misread that. It's National Side Piece Day.
Oh, well, it's piece day.
It's World Breastfeeding Day.
Is it?
It is. Feed someone your breast today, this week. And it's International Clown Week.
I'm gonna take the L on that. Too.
I wanted to be a clown when I was younger. I met a guy when I was a
And here we go.
teenager. And he taught me how to juggle. And I told my mother that I wanted to make some money doing clown. And she said, and I quote, "Boy, I ain't send your ass to school to be no damn clown."
Good for her. Good for her. I love your mother. She knows what's up.
Hey, listen. Today's topic. Starting over after a very bad relationship.
Yes.
We have two guests we're going to bring in shortly to share with us. Have you ever been in a bad relationship?
Oh, yeah.
Had a bad breakup?
Oh, yeah.
I have.
Uh-huh.
Very bad. I
Yeah.
mean, to the point where I know you can't believe
I
this.
think Jasmine Sullivan wrote a song about it.
I have a buddy who remembers freshman year of college. Chris, I remember you were sitting outside the dorm room. You know, you take your phone out of the room to be. That's when we had cords on phones.
Yeah.
And you were like crying, man. I'm like,
Crying.
first off,
Uh-huh.
I had a sad face. No, it was bad. But that's not my worst. I've had.
We're going to talk about those.
Oh, yeah, I've had some people do
I
some
wanna hear
dastardly
stories
things.
when we bring our guests on.
Folks, if you aren't watching live, if you're watching this later, please leave questions, comments. We'd like to hear your story. We know a lot of you all catch the show afterwards. If you are watching live, we want you to participate in this one.
Please do.
But without further ado, I'll ask our producer, Brian, please bring in both of our guests. And it all worked perfectly there.
There we go. There
Hel-
we go.
Hello, Sharice. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yes.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you. I've never met Sharice before. This will not be scripted.
Right. We've never
I
met.
have met Louis.
Yes.
What's
up?
good, Louis?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming back, good brother.
You're welcome.
So, you all are going to talk a little bit about yourself.
Just a little bit, because we want
Just
to
a
get
little
into
bit,
the
just a little bit.
we want to get into the meat of it.
But I'm going to turn it over to Gina B. Why don't you get us started, and let's find out a little bit who would guess. I don't know anything about these people.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's fine. That's fine. So, today, as Kris mentioned, it's the have you survived and healed from a bad, bad breakup, relationship, divorce, whatever. And in our Zoom environment today, not only are Kris and I going to share some of our stories, as we've also mentioned, we've both had some bad breakups, but we have Sharice Carter, who is, who, like we said, this is our first experience with Sharice. Sharice has healed from a bad relationship and is now a coach and helps people through theirs. And we have Louis Green, who just, has picked some bad women and wants to talk about it. I'm just kidding. I know Louis pretty well. So
Louis, why you look like you're standing on top of a building? I mean, I don't know what angle you got going there, but I'm feeling like I'm looking up
I'm
at
on my
you.
cell phone, man.
That's
I'm trying.
better. That's better.
Turn it sideways.
Oh, you think that's better?
Can you do that?
I did turn this out. I turned it up and down. Is this better?
No, I like the sideways, but whatever.
Whatever.
Sideways is better. We got all that dead space. There I like that. Let's do
You're
that.
the one that said he looked like he was.
Well, he's a good-looking man. I just wanted to be able to see him directly on. He's a good-looking guy.
Okay.
It's all right.
All right. So,
You want me to switch? What you want me to do? Put on my sunglasses or something, man? What do you want me to do?
No,
Are you trying to go incognito?
Every now and then, Louis, I get women and men who say, "Well, who was that guest?" You want them to see your face, brother. Trust me on this one.
You're advertising here.
Well, I was gonna use my laptop, but my laptop was freaking out, so I had to go with the phone.
We got all kinds of technology stuff going on today. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into the meat of our subject. We're gonna start with some guests. We're gonna start with Cherise, start us off. Tell us about, like, we're gonna do the condensed versions of our bad breakups, because once we get on these breakup stories, we could go on forever, and we don't want to do that because we want to get into the healing portion. So tell us what led to your bad breakup that was your epic one.
So my epic bad breakup was when I divorced my ex-husband. It was a situation that was not healthy for me or our children. I really loved my ex-husband. I didn't want to divorce, but I needed to, in order for me to have a healthier, prosperous future, because I just was depressed and I just could not find a way to get him to respect me and love me as I needed to. So that was the basis of it.
Okay. And so you had a bad breakup. And how bad was the breakup? Was it like contentious? Was it just painful? Not just painful, but was it like, how bad did it get?
It was very contentious. It was painful. We didn't speak for years. We couldn't hold conversations to even really co-parent our kids. Because when we spoke, it was always ending in an argument or someone's cussing someone, out. So it was very hard for me because this is the person who I chose to marry. This is the person who I chose to have children with. This is the person who I chose to grow old with. And things didn't work out as I planned, because who plans to get a divorce when you get married, right? So it was very hard and painful for me.
And how old were your kids at the time of your breakup?
At the time of my divorce, my daughter was 5.
Oh, little. Okay.
And my son is 3.
Oh, wow. Little kids.
Yes. And so now they're 22 and 20.
Oh, okay.
So
some time has passed.
Right.
And so this is how you've healed. Okay. Kris, did you have a question?
No, I didn't know if we were getting, because I want to ask a bunch of questions to Cherise now, but do we want to introduce folks? Do we just want to introduce? So why don't we introduce Louis?
Yeah.
He can talk about just a brief synopsis, and then we'll come right back to Cherise, because Cherise, think that was a great intro. I mean, I could feel the heaviness of you were, it sounded bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Anytime you can't talk for years, you got little kids. That's never good.
Exactly. So Louis, why don't you give us a brief synopsis, and then you'll get a break, and you actually are in a better seat, because we're gonna pepper Cherise and get all in her business right after we find out a little bit about you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, my name's Louis, and so I've had maybe 2 relationships that weren't the greatest, maybe a little bit more than 2, but 2 that are more memorable than others. Mm-hmm. And I'll probably just speak about the last one. And I mean, just to make it short and concise, like, we got along until we didn't. We tried to work it out. I talked about going to counseling. I was willing to pay for it, but she didn't want to do that.
Friend or wife?
It was a friend. I've never been married.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Never.
That's a good dude. I'd just been like, what? Wow.
Yeah, right?
But go ahead.
Right, but when you're trying to work on yourself, you want to make sure that you're not the a-hole in the situation and all of that. So anyway, but I felt like I was the only one working on the relationship, and it was kind of like she was trying to take advantage of me making strides and being a better person, and she wasn't working on shit. So I decided it was, better for us to break up. and we did. So that wasn't the bad part. So the bad part happened after the breakup when we tried to stay friends. Then that's when everything started getting really contentious. So
Okay. All right. Hold that. Um, let's go back to Sharice. Hold on. Producer Brian, I like that we can zoom and do all that. I didn't even know that was a power. You know what I'm saying? Sharice, before Gina B peppers you with questions, why y'all get divorced?
Well, we got divorced because our relationship became extremely disrespectful.
What did he do? I know it's always Guy's fault. Because when I get into mine, I'm going to tell you, it's me. It's been me. It's been me making all the bad mistakes.
Well, I would say this. A one-way street always turns into a two-way street.
I like that. She didn't drop the jewel like that and faded out.
I'm
about to say, that was a jewel you just dropped. For those who just joined, Sharice doubles as a guest, but she also does a little coaching.
Yes.
Coaching this. So that was a gem that you dropped in there. I appreciate that. I'm writing it down.
Let's let her repeat it.
Yeah. Why y'all get divorced? I want to know what he did.
So
I'm in your business.
As I was saying, a one-way street always turns into a two-way street. So he was very disrespectful towards me. And so, as most people, well, I want to show him how it feels. So then I started to become disrespectful towards him. And as you know, things just escalate. Nothing is ever solved because, you're calling me out my name. I'm calling you out your name. We're constantly arguing. So it never resolves anything, right?
Okay.
So things just started to escalate. And it just really got to a point where I would pull into my driveway and I would get knots in my stomach because I knew that it was going to be an argument or, we were going to have a, situation or whatever. So, and then he was also, but I never called him, but I spoke to a couple of women who he was speaking with.
It was some infidelity.
But like I said, I never could prove it, but speaking to these women, they were talking to me with authority. So when women talk to you with authority and you're the wife, that's something.
But before we got to the infidelity part,
okay,
what happened that y'all were having these arguments? Was he abusive? Was he on dope? Was he hitting you?
No,
I mean, what did he?
He wasn't on dope. It's just he didn't respect me.
How long were you married?
I was married for 8 years.
When did this?
So when did it start?
Go from honeymoon to being not
honeymoon
nice
to hell.
So
yeah.
it was
Honeymoon
things.
to hell.
It was
That's a movie.
things. It was some things that I saw when we were living together. I was young. I was very naive. I thought men only cheated at night. That's how naive I was. And so things just started to happen, and I thought, okay, well, he'll change. It'll get better. But as you know, if you don't put your foot down, people are going to treat you how you allow them to treat you.
Exactly.
So things just went on, and things just progressed. To where like he wouldn't come home at night, he would be out all night, and I'm just sitting there like, why
when he came in, was he defiant or was he like, yeah, my fault?
Oh yeah, he was very defiant.
Wow.
He was
the
defiant.
cojones on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was defiant.
I would have been afraid to close my eyes. Like, you know what? I might die tonight.
Yeah. But I will say this. For all the things that he did apologize.
Okay.
Later.
Eventually, right?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, eventually, but not like, yeah. Okay, cool.
Not during the time, but eventually. Maybe I'll say 4 years ago.
Okay, so he took a little while, but he at least came to some sort of realization that he was wrong.
Yes.
Which is
so people can change. And like I said, the one way turns a two-way street. I was doing things to him too, but I will say this, and a lot of people, they fail to realize, I expected him to be something that he wasn't. Because when I got married, I expected him to be like my dad. Like my dad would, cook dinner for us. He would help us with our home. Me and my siblings, he would help us with our homework. He would pick us up from school. So I automatically thought that my ex-husband should do that. But if you don't see that growing up, how would you know to do that? So that was my fault. I expected him to be someone and something he wasn't.
Okay. Thank you. So, you look like you have more.
No, I mean, this is good stuff. And it sounds like you've really, I mean, I know you, I put time in this schedule because I do tips at the end of every show, but I also want to hear, because you sound like somebody who's been through it and has learned from it.
Right.
Yes.
Now, when you were going through it, you said something that when we get to the tips, I'll share as well. You said you started doing stuff, and we as humans, you hit me, I want to hit you back.
We're retaliatory.
Right, exactly.
I know I am.
Did you? Because he sounded blatant. It's the reason I asked that. A, when you found out all these women were coming to you, did you go ahead and get you a couple friends as well, and let him know?
No.
Okay.
So, and that's another reason why I left, because I always wanted to be right. I did not want to step out on my husband, because I take my vows very seriously. So, and it took me a long time to really grasp that, I need to get a divorce. I sought my pastor at the time, and he and we had a conversation, and I explained to him what was going on. He said, yes, you can get a divorce based on what you're telling me. But
you can't. Wait a minute. You can't. Were you a particular religion that they don't like
divorces?
Well, nobody does.
I'm a Christian.
Okay.
So it was hard for me because, like I said, I took my vows very seriously. At the time, I was a member of Apostolic Church of God. So Bishop Brazier and we had a conversation.
Shout out to the bishop.
And I was just really, really struggling, because I loved my husband. I wanted to be married, but the situation was not good for me or our kids, because I did not want our kids to grow up thinking that this type of environment was okay.
How old were the children around the time? 5 and.
They were 5 and 3 when I filed for divorce.
Now, when you went to talk to the bishop, did you guys go to any counseling prior to divorce?
So prior to divorce, we did. We the very first session that we had, I went by myself. He was supposed to go, but the night before, he went out and didn't come home. Mm. So
did he know this was on his calendar?
He knew it was on his calendar.
Damn.
Before he left, I told him, I said, hey, we have counseling tomorrow. He said, okay, well, I'm going out with my friends. And so the next morning, the appointment was for, I think, 11 or 12 o'clock, something like that. And he wasn't home. And I was calling, and he never answered. I went to the counselor, shout out to Dr. Smith. And he basically said, why are you here? You're here by yourself. Isn't this supposed to be a marriage counseling session? And I said, yeah, And so after the session, maybe 30 minutes later, my ex-husband called me and was like, yeah, what's up? So that was, to me,
yeah, that's tough.
the dagger that was like, stuck in my back. Like, wow, I'm trying. I'm really trying to save our marriage. And then he went to a couple of sessions with me, but the counselor was pointing things out to him that he didn't like. So he no longer,
like how you shouldn't stay out all night.
It's not good to stay out all night with all those hoes. Was he at all? Was he? I mean, I believe everybody is capable of being forgiven. I mean, I do. I mean, nobody's perfect, right? But was he at least? Because obviously he'd done some stuff, right?
Right.
But even when he made it to counseling, was he? Did your gut tell you he was into the counseling or no? Or he was just?
I was very optimistic, because I thought that, he would see that I wanted the marriage. I wanted it to work, and I was hoping that he wanted it to work.
Did he
But
seem like it? Is what I'm trying to get it to you. You may not
well,
know.
but you know what? He would straighten up for a little bit, but then he'll go back. And so that was my issue. Nothing was consistent. I just really felt in my heart of hearts that he no longer wanted to be married. But later, he said to me in a conversation, he said, that wasn't going to last forever. And I said, well, you knew what you were doing then.
Wow.
Right.
So, and I think it was just, and he just said he was young. He wasn't really ready to be married.
All right. Yeah, this sounds 8 years sound that's just heartbreaking.
8 years. Yeah.
But it's just, and as she said, I jokingly say I'm still married, but I jokingly, all relationships go through something, but I jokingly say, well, I'm Catholic. You got to kill me to divorce me. I have, because I'm a believer, I call myself a Christian. I come from the same ilk that she is. Like, I can fix this. I can fix this.
Right.
And for her, I empathize, because you got to a point where you just say, you know what? Can't fix it. And especially for a woman to do that with 2 young kids, she's there.
Right.
Yeah.
She's at that point.
You have to be cognizant of what you're showing your kids and what you're
Right.
role modeling. Like, you cannot
Right.
role model this to, like, especially if you have a daughter. Like, your
Yeah.
daughter cannot see you allowing yourself to be treated like that.
Well, what people struggle with, even though 70+% of divorces are filed by women, but even men who filed a divorce, and she may have thought that too, the kids may see part of it, and you're right, but they don't see everything she sees.
Right.
And
Right.
some people struggle with, well, he might be a horrible husband and a decent dad, so you might want to keep that, you might want to keep it around just for them. But the good thing is, and I even though I'm against divorce, it happened early to me. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Especially for the one younger than 5. So it didn't get ugly. Nobody got arrested. Did you bust any windows? And then we
I
gonna go
did.
to Louis.
I wanted to, but I did not. And
I've had eggs thrown in my car. On my car. I had a girl tell me later on, she tried to get my car towed. She saw me somewhere. Y'all got some stuff.
Chris,
So
I had a girl actually steal a car with no driver's license and follow me.
that's what I'm talking about. Wait a minute.
What were you throwing on?
Sharice, when we
get to
come,
Louis.
we're gonna talk to Louis, but when we come back, Sharice, I'm gonna give you a preview. And truthfully, on this show, Gina is my therapist, but she's gonna be asking
I'm not
you.
well paid.
Not at all. Not at all. She's gonna be asking you like what you learned from it, and we do want to hear some of your tips that you give people after that. And I also want to know what you learned. I'm gonna ask you, and I always ask people what they learn about themselves. They're good and bad. So be thinking about you. You do this, so I know you've always done some introspection.
Right.
Right. So, but I'm gonna ask you that. I always ask people about themselves more than I do the other person.
We're gonna get to those questions.
We are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut up for a minute.
Okay.
I want you to go get at Louis. He's got some juice in
That's
there.
what I'm trying to get to. You
All right,
keep
Sharice,
talking,
but Sharice can jump in if
Bless
you like.
her heart.
'Cause you
Okay.
got-
Okay,
There
Louis.
she go with the
tell
bless
me
you.
about the relationship where you ended up in therapy with the person that you were only dating. I want to know what this.
She must have been fine.
So,
Was she fine, Louis?
She had a big booty.
oh,
I just want to know.
yeah, she was fine. We
knew she had a
dated
big
for a long time.
What's the long term?
Louis a player. He likes 2-3 months. Shit.
No. We
Louis is a
dated,
player.
started back in like
look like a
2000, like 2004, on and off until like 2022.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
long time.
2000 what?
But we had like 3-year break,
Hold
a
up.
2-year break,
Okay, all right.
you know, like that. So we didn't do that all the way straight through,
That's
you
a
know.
long time.
But
You're right.
when you're with somebody that long, you know, it's like you're very comfortable
Okay.
and you want to
Louis, you
try to
gotta
make it
marry
work.
them, or they just gonna look. You gotta marry them next
Let
time.
me ask you a question though. Okay, so when you're with someone that long and you're not progressing, if you're taking breaks and you're whatever, is it that you think that the relationship can be tweaked to become something permanent, or do you? What were you
Well, I
thinking
think
like the first
I
5
think I'm
years?
like most men, and not all men, but most men. I feel like I can figure this out. I can make this work. Because that's what men want to do. Men always want to fix stuff. If you tell a man that your car ain't working, we want to look at it. I don't know nothing about cars, but I'm gonna raise the hood up and act like I know what I'm doing. Like,
Throw a
I
wrench
mean,
around up in that bitch.
Right.
this
Come
is
out
what
with a
men
two-ball.
do. So we always feel like we could fix it. And so with my ex, when we started off good, and we had a decent relationship. And she had a good job at the time, and everything was kind of hunky dory. But then from time to time, she would get somewhat disrespectful. But I would check her, and I know that's part of a relationship. It's an ebb and flow with men and women. Kris knows what I'm talking about. But like, women always try you. They'll try you. They'll see if they can get away with it. As long as you stand strong, you good. They'll fall back in line. So this is, if it's not true, this is the way we feel anyway.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question for you, really, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
What type of women are you dealing with that they're always that they'll try you? Because that goes back to who they are and what they represent. Because I know me as a woman, I don't try anyone. You know what I mean? It's basically either they're going to respect you or they're not going to respect you.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah, I got his answer on this because
I hadn't gotten to that point yet, but I was going to get to that point. But Gina kind of like foreshadowed it earlier in the conversation. But sometimes you just don't pick the right people, and I'm pretty good at doing that. I'm pretty good at picking the wrong people. I'm expert at that part. So
most men are, brother. You're not alone.
Yeah. So, I guess I picked the wrong person, but I did love her and I wanted to make it work. So I said, hey, we're going to make this work. And then I think as time went on, my career was progressing. Maybe her career wasn't progressing. And she felt a little bit insecure about that, I think. And so she really wanted to get married because she felt like, this is my perception of it. Maybe her perception is totally different. But she felt like she wanted to lock me in to make sure I didn't go nowhere or whatever like that. But I had to have a conversation with her and tell her, because I believe in telling people all along what's going on, what I'm feeling like, what I'm thinking, so that it's not a surprise if we break up. So I told her, I said, I'm never going to marry you because you don't bring peace to my life. If I tell you,
I would have jumped out there with that one, but I feel you.
But no, because you got to a point where I just had to be totally honest. I'm like, you don't. If I tell you your hair looks nice, you're like, don't it always look nice? If I say, it could be anything. It's like she took the negative point from anything I would say to her. It didn't matter what it was. I'm going to play chess. Why you going to play chess? How come you don't want to spend time with me? I'm like, I spend time with you all the time. In fact, if you want to spend time with me, we can do that. It's not either or. Like, what are you talking about? And that goes back to that B logic we talked about in the previous show.
Yeah, logic. Yes, let me ask you a question. So how many years into this relationship did you tell her, I'm not going to marry you because you don't bring peace to my life?
I think it was like 2019.
Wait a minute. You think that's a negative?
Well, I mean, if somebody...
that's when I said that. But we've had other conversations.
Right,
though,
I'm saying, but she went right to that. Do you think that's a negative?
No, but what I'm saying is if you tell somebody...
I got you.
If she wanted to get married, if that was her goal...
I'm not saying it's not, by the way. I'm asking.
I'm saying if you tell somebody, I'm not going to marry you, then at what point do they say, okay, well, let me just stop moving forward?
I look at it like if he's been seeing her a while, right? And he says... let's assume for someone to even say that to you means that they sort of want to marry you.
Exactly.
Or they did.
Well, they might have, yeah.
Right. That's how I look at it.
Now. All right.
Right.
We have
that's all. That's all.
To the crux of this
yeah, we'll get there. We get on that.
So that was the point. The point wasn't to say I don't want to marry you. The point was to tell her this is why I'm not marrying you. Okay. Because you're very argumentative. You start fights for any reason all the time.
That's all of them.
And
I forgot. Louis, I thought it was just me and you. I apologize. I thought out loud.
Let's let him get to the breakup part before we interrupt. Okay, good.
So basically, we just, came to the conclusion. Well, it got to a point where we really weren't interacting anymore as much as we were previously. So, like, physically, the relationship kind of started to separate. We weren't having sex and that kind of thing. And, I was just like, and that's fine. So I'm like, but I'm not the kind of guy who's just going to go out and cheat on you, but I'm not going to be in a sexless relationship either. And I understand you do want to get married. And so I was like, we should just break up. And that's what we did. We broke up.
Okay. And so then, so the breakup was bad. How bad was the
who broke up with who? Because somebody's got to say this is over.
Yeah. It went back and forth a few times when we broke up. The last time, I think she actually broke up with me. We had some conversation about money or something like that. She was having a hard time with some money. And I said to her, I wasn't going to give her $8,000 to pay for something or whatever.
Wait a minute, Louis, you dropping 8,000? Hold on, ladies. I just want y'all to know.
I'm
not saying it's a reason to go with Louis. Louis ain't cheap, is all I'm saying. I got 3 daughters, Louis. I tell them don't date no broke dudes, ever. I don't care. Don't date nobody broke.
Yeah.
So, all right, so she needed some money. You were like,
And
so how bad did the breakup go? Like, was it...
So basically, she acted like she took offense to the whole fact that I said I wasn't going to give her the $8,000 because she said I never asked for it.
She can fine. But she got to see her. I'm sorry.
I'll send you a text.
Yeah. Send Gina a picture. Got to be fine. Got to be fine. Anyway, go ahead.
He wants to see the back shot. Go ahead.
Dude, I'll send you a gift.
Hey, listen, I've done the same thing. No, I've done. So you're not saying nothing that a lot of men haven't gone through who are trying to be right. But again, I told you before. I appreciate, you being so forthcoming. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I mean,
it sounds like you wanted this to work.
I treated her like a wife. I mean, we would go on trips. Like, I'm gonna just give you one example. I'm not gonna give you all the examples. It take too long. But like in 2019, we went to Cabo, and so I paid for that. And I said, okay. She wasn't working as much at the time, so I gave her like some expense money to go shopping before we went to Cabo.
Damn.
I think I gave her like $400 or $500. And then I think in October we went to Amsterdam. Gina and Lee were down there. Actually, Lee was DJing at the party.
My wife ain't even.
Okay.
My wife ain't even there.
So you did meet her, Gina? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
My wife ain't even been there. My wife ain't even been to Amsterdam.
Right. So before we went to Amsterdam, I think I gave her another $400 or $500 to go shopping. And I paid for the whole thing.
Right now.
And then $400 to go shopping.
we went to Cabo in November, and she said to me, "Daddy, what's my budget?" I said, "Baby, you ain't got no budget. Get what you need."
Said, "Daddy."
She said, "Daddy, what's my budget?"
Hold on.
Okay,
ladies, for any of the ladies who may be watching,
what you doing? He got Big Daddy rolling.
He may have a special set of skills.
He's got a particular set of skills.
Louis may have a particular set.
No, man.
Daddy, where we going?
Wow.
Right.
Okay, when you broke up, it's hard to let that kind of thing go.
Yeah, that's tight.
So was there stalking? Was there, like, how bad?
Hell yes, he stalked him. I don't even know you. I don't even know the story.
Police involved?
I don't even know the story. I know she missed that shit.
She stalked me a little bit. She drove by my house and
told you. I know what
I caught her. I did a Google of my house, and her car was actually parked in front of it.
I know.
You know how you like Google your house and look at the pictures. Her car was parked in front of my house. I was like, what the heck? Yeah, for real. Like, I can see you the pictures. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
Okay.
But it wasn't that bad. Like, she didn't really go that in, but she just started calling me again. And my friend Roy, Gina, you know what I'm talking about. He called me and was like, "Man, watch out, because around October or November, she's going to start calling you again. And sure enough, or normally around October, November, right before Christmas time, she would call me,
Of course.
try to work her way back in so she get Christmas presents
Gifts.
and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not gonna
Right.
say what I think about this woman.
But
Okay.
you know,
Yeah. All right.
it is what it is.
Now we've got the two stories. Do you want to talk about a bad breakup?
You go first, ladies first.
Me talk about a bad breakup?
Mine are always simple.
I just, my bad breakup was
Mine
I
will
was
take 2
dating
seconds.
someone and I found a lot of hard, cold evidence that he was cheating.
Right.
Oh,
Like video evidence.
video.
Yeah.
Damn.
I found video evidence. And it was,
Was he performing? But he may have just given them some old. He might have been giving you the real.
yeah.
Right.
He gave
Yeah.
everybody the same
He
effort.
gave them the half.
He
and
gave
you
everybody the same
real.
effort.
It was, okay,
He didn't do extra stuff.
I don't care what he was
Trying to
doing.
if you watching
If
whoever
I
you
say-
are, I'm trying to help you out.
Don't
What did you
mind.
catch him doing, Gina? We want to know. What was he doing in the video?
God. Just-
Was he naked?
yeah,
in the act?
Yeah.
Was it him?
It was him.
All right.
You sure it was him?
Yeah.
But was it his penis or was it somebody else's?
Yeah. What do you mean? And
Was he like this?
I mean, 'cause
I'm
it
killing-
didn't have to be
was
him.
Was he like this? I'm killing this. Yeah.
But the thing is,
I got
like,
you. I got you.
Men are interesting because, and I've known a couple of men that have done this. Men, like ones that I have not dated, ones I have dated, whatever. They y'all like reminders and trophies and things like that.
You goddamn right we do.
So,
We're some shallow
like,
creatures.
Folders with names.
We
and,
are we are flawed.
people that, like,
We
I guess
are
so, you
Gina
do
B.
Exactly.
We are a flawed species, but
very flawed.
But for every man who's done that, he was in the film with somebody else. I bet you didn't catch him with his hand only. You caught him with somebody.
But here's the
But
thing.
why-
though.
And to take
Thing
up for
is
us,
that-
fellas. Had to take up
thing
for us.
is that I didn't investigate this too. I didn't need to.
Did you do anything?
Well, there is smoke, there's fire, and I sensed that there was fire in the first place.
This must have been early in the
So
relationship.
therefore- No, well, not really. Not really that early. No,
You always.
Wait. Had you consummated the relationship
Oh,
with
yeah,
him?
no, we've been dating for a little while. Like,
G-
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you all know. Gina B sort of hardcore. I mean, did
I
you?
will cut bait.
Were you exactly? Were you sad at all?
Well,
Look at all.
yes and
And she had
no.
to think about it.
Yes and no.
She's like, maybe
She
I would
didn't
say-
care.
I was
She's like,
kinda-
forget this guy.
I was kind of shitty. Like, I get a little shittier than I get sad. Like, I'm just like, this
Yeah.
But it was more like, I really appreciate when people self-deselect, right? So if you show me something that
Self-deselect.
that's what I call it, because it's like, okay, well, I found something that you were doing, and now I know that I can just sever ties and keep it moving. I don't have to ask any more questions, right? Like, I don't need to. And then what I think is so funny is that he's like, well, do you want to go to therapy? I'm like, no, because I'm not going to therapy with someone I'm not married to, because I feel like that is the I'm not particularly religious, but I would say that's the universe's way of telling me that I should not be in that relationship. That's the universe's way of saying break up.
And that was just my move. That was just my move.
I'm not wasting my money on.
So Gina, quick question: did he know that you guys were in a relationship?
Did he know?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because he
Okay.
didn't want me to see that. Yeah, he knew exactly the kind of relationship.
I like that question though.
Yeah, no.
Because-
I wasn't in my own head. Like we
But-
were actually in a relationship, and he was trying very desperately to maintain it. And I was like, nah, bro.
That you handled it right though.
was like,
I
you
want
gotta
to. I want to give my testimony.
Uh-oh.
And but I want Sharice to weigh in on based off what she just said. Just I've been a guilty party 9 times out of 10 in any premarital relationship. I can tell you, it was me. I have learned that you get more out of relationships when you're honest with yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all have. We all are very good, men and women, of saying, "Well, he did that and I did that." I usually was the one who was dallying out. And initially, when I was younger, I felt, well, you know what? I'm treating her well. I'm doing this, that, and the other. We're not married. But this when I was young. But even when I got serious with folk, I mean, I'm still on my bullshit, right? But I thought because I said, you know what? We're just dating. We start off the relationship. We're dating. You're free to see people, et cetera, et cetera. But I was treating them nicely. And they felt... So even though I said something, I was acting otherwise.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what this is.
And so I'm saying I'm still guilty on that, right?
Right.
I know that.
Because you knew how she felt. You know women.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was being deceitful.
Right.
So
Right.
I know that, and so I'm not. You know, when it first happened, I mean, this is my biggest memory. When you wake up, somebody's crying with the phone right there.
Oh, you know what's up there?
I'm like this. I'm an 8th degree retired 8th degree Jedi Knight player.
When
I looked up.
Ringtone is, I've got hoses
I
in
looked
there.
up saying, "You went through my phone that you didn't pay a bill to, and you expected me to explain some shit?" I went nuts on her. She apologized for going through my phone.
And she fell for that?
Yeah.
Still saying, however, she got me down a couple phone numbers and called a few people. Called me later. However, I wasn't going to explain that. Obviously, that was the end of that. But at that point, I mean, I got a soul. It was all good until you see somebody crying like that.
Yeah.
And then I felt like shit. You know, and I've had some women who I knew wasn't on shit. I had a girl one time tell me, well, we should really be committed and this, that, and the other. I was like, nah, I'm not ready for that. This is when I was actually had grown. I was like, no, I'm still dating people. Well, I'm just seeing you. We go out, get pizza. Come back to her place. I use the restroom. Use condom in the toilet. Now,
She didn't flush?
I was like, hey, your toilet, it's not flushing. You need to, check that out. She goes in, sits on the bed, says, you want to talk about it? Now, by this point, I was like, no, start the movie. We good. I just want you to know your toilet. Obviously, she never had that conversation again. I mean, I hit for another year until I had to move on. Because you got to move on. Right? You got to move on. Everybody's going to want.
Moving on.
Oh, that's me.
You a Jedi Knight, friend. You a Jedi Knight, bro.
That's why I do the show. I fucked up 1,000,000 times. Anyway.
Okay, so what we're focusing on today is healing from these bad relationships. How do you move on and have healthy relationships going forward after you've had a bad breakup?
I guess.
So, for me, I think what I did is I had to talk with Gina B one time down at a bar when we were talking about this, and she gave me a little bit of advice. And so I kind of took her advice, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what she told me, but what I took from it was just time to totally let it go. Like I tried to be friends with this young lady. It wasn't working, and she kept like disrespecting me and carrying on. So for the first time in my life, I had to actually block somebody. So I blocked her, and I feel so much better. And that's what I had to do to finish it. I've never blocked anybody before or after so far, but I blocked her, and that made me feel better.
Because she was cuckoo for Coco. That's why.
Yeah.
Like, you needed to.
Again, I've never seen her, but
I mean.
Louis wasn't paying for shopping sprees for nothing.
Wide open
We were together for a long time.
There was some things happening.
We were together for a long
She
time.
could do some things.
And I'm okay. I'm pretty well off. So I'm not a cheap guy, and it was nothing for me to look out for my woman. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did.
Right. I mean, that's okay. So
I want to send Louis on. Are you seeing somebody, Louis? I'm getting ahead of
That's what we're getting. Okay,
I'm
so
sending Louis on a date.
What have you decided to take with you and leave from the process of healing from that relationship?
Sure.
So I guess what I took from that was this. If I see the red flags, I'm not even going to mess with you. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, I took your advice, Gina, leave them where they were at, and just leave them where they're at, and just, Gina can tell you what I'm talking about. I don't want to put on
I've heard
blast.
most Gina B.
I don't know if you heard this one, but yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this one.
She's very different off camera.
She's different off camera. That's why I want to keep her wholesome.
Exactly.
Wholesome? Does anyone think okay, raise your hand.
My friends do.
Oh, they do?
You are the better half of this show.
Everybody
I'll
loves
see
you,
her when
Gina.
the camera goes off.
To be the better half
She's
of this show.
filthy. No, I don't say that. I don't say that.
But anyway, okay. So you decided to leave. If it's a red flag,
Right, if it's a red flag,
trash is the trash. If that's what
right, exactly. So leave the trash to the trash, right? So my thing is, if I feel like me and you aren't like evenly yoked on certain different levels, it's just not going to work. I'm not going to pursue it because I've got less time ahead of me probably than I have behind me at this point, right? So it's just not worth it to me.
Mm.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Sounds
Sharice,
good.
tell us how what did you employ to, and are you in a relationship today, first of all?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
You know,
So what I had to do first was really start to love myself, because I was at a point where I was not loving myself because I was really depressed. So my thing is for anyone who is going through divorce, love yourself more today than tomorrow, and work on increasing your self-worth for a better
no,
tomorrow.
let me ask you a question. So you're a coach, and so
Yes.
people say love yourself, like learn to love yourself. So on a day-to-day basis, if you're not a person who has really loved themselves, what are the steps that you take to get to that place? What does that mean for you?
So that means you have to really dig into, first you have to find out, figure out why you don't love yourself.
Okay.
You have to figure that out first. And then once you figure that out, you have to start really honing in on who you are and what you are. So with my clients, I always have them create self affirmations. Look in the mirror, say, I am beautiful. I am wonderful. I am intelligent. I am the best thing to walk this earth. Because you need to start building your confidence back up. You need to really start aligning yourself to know that you are the bomb. You are. God created you just as you are. You are perfectly created by God. So I always implore them to look in the mirror every morning. Because if you don't have confidence in yourself, if you don't love yourself, who will? So I always start with encouraging them to look deep inside themselves and really figure out what's going on. Now I will walk you through the steps and to see, where did things go wrong? And a lot of times it goes back to your childhood. Things that happened to you in your childhood. So we talk about that and we figure that out, and we really work on you being able to love yourself.
Okay, so now, what did you take with you from your bad relationships? What did you leave behind? Like, what lesson have you carried forward?
So the very first lesson I learned was you cannot expect people to act as you think they should. You should accept people for who they are. Like, that was my problem. I expected my ex-husband to act like my dad, and that was totally impossible, right? And the next thing I took from the relationship was really, you have to not only walk by faith, but you have to encourage yourself. You have to have confidence. You need to have a strong foundation. So when things like this happen, you won't be shaken. And a lot of people walk away hurt and diminished and not really understanding, how they got to that point. So I walked away feeling not appreciated. So I had to turn it around. And the best part about it was I had to learn to forgive. I forgave my ex-husband during our divorce process because I knew that if I did not forgive him, I couldn't move forward. And I couldn't move forward and really raise our children to the best of my ability. Because if you're holding on to hurt, you're holding on to pain, you're upset with this person, you won't be able to really navigate to your future. And there's always a brighter future, right? So you need to let go of the pain, forgive, and let go.
Very good. So because you can't forgive someone and still not have them in your life. Like, you can
Of
forgive
course.
someone
Absolutely.
and be done with them. Like, there's no, you don't have to let them back in.
Of course.
Good tips.
Kris, what do you have?
I got a bunch. But
Kris always got a list.
But I'm gonna roll right through them because in the interest of time. And Sharice mentioned one of them. She mentioned one of them, which was I call it self-care. And these are things I look at it two ways. There's some things you do immediately after a really bad breakup. Number one, you gotta wait. I tell people, wait 24, 36 hours before you do anything. Think about it. There are a lot of men and women who are incarcerated now because Passions of the Heart sometimes.
Dateline is full to bursting with those stories.
Yeah, so I always immediately after, I suggest people do that. I then suggest as soon as possible you reconnect with trusted people, friends, the few family members that you hold in high regard, your old roommate, and you let them know what's happening. And, usually those people let you know, hey, this is all right. It's okay. There's storms in life, et cetera, et cetera. Then what you said, take care of yourself. You got to feel better immediately. You want a spa treatment. If you're a guy, you haven't been out with the fellas in a while, go smoke a cigar, drink, whatever you do, you need to do. But then I think everybody needs to reflect, right? When you're not feeling like you're about to go commit a felony, you should reflect on the relationship for two reasons. Not just to see what an asshole he or she was, but to also know what role that I play in it. Because Sharice always says that a one-way street always leads to what?
A two-way street.
See what I'm saying? There's always another issue, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I tell people on this show, Sharice and Louis, y'all don't see it all the time, but I tell people, there are always people that'll trick you. But for the most part in this life, whether it's our education, whether it's our relationship, we're sort of responsible for where we end up. And a lot of, who we with are based off actions of our own. I can say now, after doing some self-reflection, I was very superficial. I would try to make it work if she looked the part. Mm-hmm. That's me. I learned that about myself. I'm married to a beautiful woman, but I was very superficial. What'd you say, Louis?
Guilty.
He's testifying.
Right.
He's like,
and then I said, like Gina B asked, what did you learn along the way? Because you don't want to be back there, right?
Yeah, you don't.
I don't always think the road gets brighter. I think if you use what you've learned, it gets better. You're not going to have that mistake. At worst, you're not going to make the same mistake again. Right. That's what I said. That's all I guarantee. And lastly, did you strengthen the way you communicate? Sharice said something earlier that I think is at the crux of a lot of relationships not making it, that I think generations in the past have. I think men and women were more tolerant of listening to other points of view. And that's just America. I see, we could be talking about cars. And it could be a guy who knows about, he's been working in cars, and somebody says something that might be more correct. That guy won't change his mind no matter what he hears. That's just how people are now. I'm not going to change based on this, blah, blah, blah. And it's just it's like everybody's walking around like this. And I just don't think it helps for relationships. I said this before the show. I went to my wife's grandma's, or great aunt's funeral. But anytime she saw me, when she first met me, oh, hey, good looking, I was butter right after that. She wore a flower. She died almost 102. I always wore a flower. You just get more out of people being nice. I'm just going to say men, women, period. You do not have to walk around doing that. And there are guys who are guilty of this as well. And I remind them, oh, man, she only wanted me for my money. I'm like, who chose her? You did. That's on you.
Yep.
I tell women, these men ain't nothing. Well, you choosing the same dude. Yep. We have to take some accountability for where we're at and our role, even if you're with the right person, your role in the conflict, right?
Right.
Lastly, tips for dating after a breakup. That's just how I immediately get through this. Mm-hmm. If you want to start dating, and again, I looked this up. This was from a matchmaking site, because I used to go right out and try to get some physical comfort.
Therapy, physical therapy.
To make my mental subdue.
The best way to get over someone
is on someone? On.
Under?
I'm not getting under.
Why?
You ain't about, no, because I'm about to.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just about to get obscene. Anyway,
get to the list.
You got to have a positive mindset. I tell people to take some time, but I didn't know how much time because I never took time. So some of the experts say for every year you're in a relationship, take a month.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
Well, that isn't so bad. I think that's like if you're in a.
I thought that was pretty sensible.
That might be too. Anyway, Yeah.
That might be too long. But you don't want to.
That might be too short.
True, but they even said in this article, and it was a UK magazine. It was called. It was a matchmaking service.
They're very randy in the UK.
Right, she got me so randy, baby. That was from Alston Powers. McLean International, whatever. They hook people up with people. Take time to heal. They give this advice to women more so than men. If you go on a date, don't compare your current person in front of you to the asshole that you left.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing you want to do too, Kris, is you want to find out what your mate wants in your relationship moving forward. And I think that you kind of talked about that earlier. Like you thought your husband was going to be this certain type of guy.
Right.
And I talked to my ex, and this is really what kind of broke us up, because I was thinking about Mary, and I said, hey, you know, I kind of want you to help me sometimes around the house, clean up, help me cook or whatever, you know.
Damn, you was doing all that?
And
She said, "Where my money, Daddy?"
and she
say daddy and turn around, and Louis was like, oh, shit, for real?
No, I actually prayed. And said, hey, God, I want to marry this woman. Give me a sign. So we went on this cruise, and her eyes opened up in the cruise, and she just told me, I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. I don't really want to have sex that often. I don't want to put something in the dishwasher. I don't want to wash no clothes. I ain't signing no prenup. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
I would have said, you know what? We just going to have sex one more time on this cruise.
You want to get pushed off?
And it would have been the most nastiest. Yeah, that she told you right there, I'm for the streets.
But you know what?
That's what she told you.
But she told him up front what she wanted.
No, she waited till she got on the cruise.
But she told him. But see, the thing is, when we meet people, we are so ready to jump into bed with them. We're not willing to get to know them and who they really are.
Right.
Jada B,
and that's my thing.
What I tell people about sleeping with people on this show,
we like to hold off.
I tell people, first off, if you're on a new date, I always got to give my slogan. I tell women to be a kitten, not a cat. That nobody that's worth having that wants to listen to your past problems. But yeah, one of the biggest mistakes I think people make, men are, especially men, I told y'all we shallow, but we are visual, and we value that which we cannot get. Every time, the saints of us, and Louis, to your point, I don't date a woman if she ain't got somebody, if somebody didn't drag her to church when she was a kid, I don't even date. Because I need to know something. If I got one arm, you going to take care of me. I need that. Because we going to die before they are. Y'all know that, right? So, ladies, you get somebody with some money and some character. We do die more times sooner than y'all. Girlfriends don't get death certificates. They will not treat these dudes like husbands if you're not married to them. I got two more things, Gina B. She is a clock watcher. Jesus Christ. Anyway. I would focus on things outside of dating as well. I believe people are the best mates when they enter the relationship whole. Don't look for a dude that's a project. Ladies do that a lot.
We are the original rehabbers.
Do not. He should be fine. I've asked women on this show, hey, you got two guys. They're both the same. You know, their sex game is the same. They're both the same, this, that, and the other. One guy says about all these problems he got, and this guy just seems to have stuff together. Well, it depends, blah, blah, blah. No, it's clear.
No, it's very clear.
Yeah. Don't have unrealistic expectations. Our thinking is, afterwards we've taken time, we're unemotional, we've done what Sharice did, we forgave you. We didn't forget. We forgave you, and we've moved on with someone else, and we think the next person, because I have so much self-knowledge now, don't have unrealistic dating expectations. It's still assholes out here. It's still people that don't have your best interest, even when you do your screening. So just, know that you may not find that person right away. Don't talk bad about your ex, especially for people who have children.
Yeah.
You talk about, when you want to talk bad about them, talk about to your homie or your girlfriend. That's who you say he ain't shit to.
Because you will say
right.
It's a question of what you are.
And lastly is, be your authentic self, right? But be your best version. People say, you want me to pretend? No.
Representative.
No, just be the best version of you. And that's all I got. You guys were awesome.
Thank you guys for coming. We're
That's
really
good.
behind the. We're behind.
Gina B must have somewhere to go.
No, but we are.
I don't even like the way she rushing me right now.
We are over.
Just close out the show there, whatever.
Okay. Thank you both. Thank you, Louie. Thank you, Sharice. Sharice, how will people find you if they would like?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. They can find me on Instagram. My handle is Divorce Coach CC. You can also find me on Facebook under Sharice Carter, and I also have a group page called Divorced. I Survived and You Can Too. So that's another page that I run to help people who are going through a divorce, thinking about divorce, or are divorced.
Divorce coach. What's the Instagram?
Divorce Coach CC.
Okay, Sharice, why don't you leave a comment on this?
Okay.
This broadcast will be up. Leave
Okay.
a comment underneath and like a link so that people can find you if they need
I
your
found
services.
it.
Mhm.
And then, Louie, where can all these eligible young women who want to call you Big Daddy?
I don't even care if they do call you. I'm hooking Louie up on a date. Wait, Sharice, are you dating?
I'm not.
She's not in a relationship right now. We didn't even
No.
know
Okay.
that far.
How tall are you, Sharice?
I'm on Facebook, Louis
That's all-
Green. Yep.
How tall are you, Sharice?
I'm 5'5".
Okay. Are you crazy?
Are you crazy?
No, I'm not crazy.
All women are crazy. My mama, my
look,
wife.
you even
No,
ask?
my mama, my wife, all my daughters, every woman is slight crazy.
No, I was in my 20s and my 30s, but
I like crazy.
I'm not
You what?
crazy anymore. I was in my 20s and my 30s, but no
She's
more.
not crazy. It's just crazy no more.
You over
Okay.
35.
Now,
I'll be 50 in January.
Listen, you ain't got to tell nobody nothing unless we. No, that's fine. All right, I'm 5'5". Okay. All right.
like me and Lee say, the craziest ones are the best.
That's what you and Lee say?
That's what.
Hold on.
Excuse me?
Sharice, Gina B is engaged. I didn't say your name, Lee. I just want you to know, dog.
If you were Lee is DJing right now at an event. If you were
That's
not,
Louis. I don't care.
No,
where you at.
No, he would
but
be
you
shot
have to
dead.
know the context of the conversation.
I
You have to know the context of the
save you.
What's the
conversation.
context of that
You-
conversation?
That's
I'll
like
tell you
low-key
later,
bro-
Gene. I'll
That's
tell you
like
later.
low-key
Later,
bro
okay.
code
It's the crazy.
violation.
You know what we were talking about it at the
I know what you're
place.
talking
You
about.
remember?
I know what you're
Hey,
talking
Chris,
about.
I will say one of my friends sent me a message and they said, "Hey, Louie." One of my friends.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Well, what happened?
One of my friends sent a message like, "Hey, Louie, all right, well, you
Uh-oh.
can y'all connect that. Everyone's connected on Messenger, so y'all can work that shit out."
But wait a minute. I got one last question for Louis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sharice. Sharice.
Yes.
You seen? Did you do? I know you're a counselor or coach rather.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to counseling after? Because you seem like you don't seem like somebody who's carrying this around with you.
I did. I went through therapy.
Good. And the reason I said that, I encourage that for everybody.
Oh yeah.
I was an anti-therapy, anything. People, I've committed myself. Look, I'm telling people it's a good thing because your outlook is bubbly. And I would just want you to keep that. That's all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I just want to compliment you on that.
I'm
I
healed.
love therapy, not just with a boyfriend.
That's good.
Not therapy.
Right. Good luck, Lee.
All right. I would go to therapy with a fiance or somebody that I am married to, but I am not going to take some raggedy ass boifriend to therapy
Good luck, nigga.
and waste my insurance dollars on something that I should just get rid of.
Good luck, Lee.
I'm just saying. Anyway. And on that note, thank you
It
for
was a
watching the Kris and
blast.
Gina Relationship Show. Thank you for being present on the show, Louie and Sharice. We will
Thank
have you
you.
back.
And you did a great job, Genevieve. You're awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Peace out. We'll
Thanks,
see y'all
guys.
next week.
Guys, have a great
All right.
day.
All right.